What are you reconciling here?
Yeah.
Did you go get your ticket for your meal?
Not yet. No.
Me?
Okay. I don't remember how to zoom in.
Huh?
Do you remember how to zoom in on this?
You have to go to the app on Google.
Yeah.
I think if you do it on the app, so
I don't think I downloaded the app on this thing. This one's,
or that's the one. Yeah, it's the Microsoft one.
yeah, but I have to download the app.
Because I can Zoom, but when you plug it in,
Yeah, I plugged it in.
so do you have on your desktop the Microsoft webcam app?
No. I guess we'll just do this.
I do not know what I'm wearing.
No. You're recording with that one, and
But I need a. Oh, Dr. Nixon.
There we go. This is yours too.
That's my
I
too.
collected that. And we have decided that.
Yeah.
And then Riley put this stuff in there.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Hey, good to see you, Riley. Yeah. You don't mind if I hang out with you down here? Yeah. What's that?
Have you guys are live streaming?
Yeah.
We're gonna be here with the camera.
Yeah, but you guys probably aren't gonna stay for the whole thing, or?
No, I'm going to see.
Okay.
I don't know. Do they have some up here at the same time?
No, I think they're doing one at a time. It's more Townhall-ish.
Oh.
Hey Riley, can I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
I'm kind of short, so I can't put this in there. Can you
Yeah,
plug
sure.
that in?
I think that's plugged in. Kind of plugged
lunch ticket or sign in yet?
I did not get my. I signed in, but I didn't get my lunch ticket yet.
Oh.
You don't have a bigger tripod, huh?
Well, yeah.
I'll just put it on here.
Well, you can, well, this one here's the live stream one. I can put on the other one. So you want to live stream on 3 cameras?
Facebook on one. I don't need to live stream the other one. Just on one camera.
All right, so just the video camera.
Yeah. You want to get a different angle for the video camera?
Well, yeah, the camera actually can be on that side or on this side.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Oh, we wanted a live. Oh, actually, we're gonna need live stream.
What are you doing there?
This is YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we need the double.
Well, I can just, so then this one's going to be regular, and then just one camera's going to be on Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. Yeah, so. Your
We have
S4.
the other,
I forgot my headset.
okay, I got an extra one. Well, it should end here, if that's the case. So I would be live streaming from a different angle.
Yeah. I have a bad I have a problem. Need to do a white balance.
Still like setup.
Hey Phil, I'm gonna hold this up. Can you do my white balance?
Hold it, no.
Okay, this is roasted father.
I mean, it's,
You? Okay, you buy two.
It's not a line on the credit card.
This is what we're gonna let the
Wow.
yeah.
Finally, you're live. Why don't you bring over that on?
Great wow, we can 8 o'clock at the time, we can 5 o'clock, everybody's schedule. That's right. We had him and Diane out for lunch. Just once.
We got to get ready to come up on this curve and take all these ideas.
Trying to be very proactive. Leadership role to the action in every office. Hold on to the center. What's the target?
I think so. I'm going to do a lot of here. That's the light back here. Too bright background. It's hard. I try to 100%.
What if you lift a little bit of the back with that?
That's how it's
Way
wrong.
back, yeah.
Okay. Theoretically, you should start back here and then other side. You can get like the light right here. There you go.
You guys want any of this? I know, right? I need one of It tells you how to get your pencil down. No, not
Find the audio guy. Yeah, I'm gonna that. Better.
Hello, can I have your attention, please? Hello. I just want to let everybody know we have 5 minutes to starting, and in 4 minutes, we'd like all the candidates to come up here. We'd like to take a photograph before we start, and afterwards, we'll take one more photograph with Nikki and Alan, of course. So 4 minutes, I'll call you up for a photograph. Thank you.
We're getting it worked out.
Moscow. Yeah, they're in Actually, it's really they're getting teenagers.
One more announcement, please. Hello. I just wanted to tell you that you can buy your tickets for the basket or for the 50-50. You have about 2 minutes left to buy tickets. So if anybody wants them, Shirley's standing up. Don't lose an opportunity of a lifetime. Thank you. Would all the candidates please come up? We want to start with the photo op real quick. All the candidates up here, please. Heather, how are you? Only CD3 candidates. Let me clear. We would like all the CD3 candidates up here for a photo op.
No, that's fine. I'm just standing on the side.
Thank you. We'd like to start the meeting now. In Southern Hills, Republican Women is thrilled to have so many new faces here. Thank you. I'm Armando, and I'm the president of Southern Hills. It's nice to see so many people here. And if we can get the sound down, hello? Thank you. We will now start with a prayer. Would everybody stand to the knee for to deliver the prayer?
Let us pray. As we gather here today as Republican women, associates, and friends, we ask our Heavenly Father to guide and bless all of us. We give thanks for the privilege of living in this great country and the freedom it allows us. May it ever remain so. Protect and shield our military men and women, both here and abroad. Bring peace to the families of those who will never return. We welcome our guest candidates and our moderator. We thank them for running. May they and the rest of us continue to act on these words spoken by Thomas Paine in 1793. Quote, "Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigues of suffering it." Amen, and God bless America.
And Earl Mitchell, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you. Would you please come up and lead us in the pledge? Earl is Henderson's constable, and he's an associate member.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're doing things a little differently today. They have already, everybody can sit down, thank you. They have already put your fruit salad on the table. They're going to bring your entree and dessert all at one time, so we'll be uninterrupted. So go ahead and start. What I'd like to do now is I would like to acknowledge Michelle Turner, who was our founding president 10 years ago. Thank you, Michelle. I saw her sitting here a little while ago, and I said, "You were probably surprised at what you started, aren't you?" I'd also like, I don't think Joan is here. Joan Pissarro, I don't believe is here. Darrell Ann Carter is here. She was also one of our presidents. Thank you. And one more time, I want people to stand. Anybody who is a veteran or a veteran spouse, please stand. This is my favorite part of the show every time. I always marvel at people you have standing. Thank you all for your service. We do have some people here I'd like to introduce. First was Earl Mitchell. Would you stand? He is a city constable here in Henderson. Second, I believe Carly Easton is here. Carly, where are you? Is she here? No? Okay. Well, she's supposed to be here. She's with the Nevada GOP. We also have Bob Sullivan. Where are you, Bob? He's the president of the Men's Club. And Carrie Buck is not here yet. Or is she? She will be here in a moment. When Carrie comes in, here she is. This is Carrie Buck. She is a District 5. And the last person I want to introduce is Keith Kimber. He is a candidate for Syndic 22. Keith, glad to have you. Okay, so with that, I can turn this over to Nikki. What? Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. And what area, what are you running for? Swati?
Swati, I'm Assembly District 43.
Oh, good. Swati, Assembly District 43. Thank you. And otherwise, this is a CD3 town hall, and I'm going to turn it over to Nikki.
Good morning and welcome to the Southern Hills Republican Women's Club Town Hall for Congressional District 3. Really excited about today's program. We have all 7 candidates here ready to talk about policy issues and why they should be elected to Congress. In order for everything to run smoothly, we've established a few guidelines. First of all, candidates, please honor Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. Also, I'm asking for our audience members to please refrain from showing any demonstrative signs of emotion. Whether you like or dislike something that you hear today, remember, we're all passionate about politics, and that is why we are here. Each candidate will have 11 minutes to answer questions, and it will be monitored by our timekeeper, Rose Webb. Rose will hold up a white card when you have 2 minutes remaining. She will hold up a yellow card when you have 1 minute remaining. And when your time is up, she will hold up a red card, and a beeper will probably go off. All right. I would now like to introduce our moderator from KXNT Radio, your talk show host, Alan Scott.
It works. Great to have you here, and we want to thank you very much. I was here 2 months ago and giving a speech, and afterwards, Nikki and I got together. We're thinking about the idea of having all the CD3 candidates here, and instead of a debate, we thought we would do a town hall, which is an opportunity for you to hear what these people are actually thinking about particular policy issues in June. So with that.
All right. I will now give a brief introduction of each candidate. Each one will come up to the stage and have a seat next to Alan. As I begin introducing you in alphabetical order, please walk on up. Candidate is Harry Bowers. Harry, Congress Air Force, retired. Federally registered Republican presidential candidate. Kerry has an Associate's of Applied Science degree in Electronic Engineering Technology, a Bachelor of Science in Corrections and Law Enforcement, and a Master's degree in Business Administration. Please welcome.
It's working. Call for recording. Appreciate you being here. First question, and all these questions you're going to hear repeated to a lot of these people, so you can hear the same issue, but from different perspectives, obviously. Under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes? What circumstances?
Well, I think that's a very good question, having been involved with Americans for Fair Taxation, because the only tax measure that I support is actually a replacement tax, and that is the fair tax, the national retail sales tax with a family consumption allowance that will remove or certainly reduce the regressive effect of a sales tax. And by the way, that tax is already in legislation in Congress. It's in H.R. 25 in the House, S. 155 in the Senate. And I have actually done some of the editing on that legislation. That legislation, too, has more congressional sponsorship today in both houses of the Congress than any other proposed tax reform or replacement measure. And what do they replace? They replace income taxes, they replace corporate taxes, payroll taxes, estate taxes, gift taxes, all those taxes today that burden us not only financially, but burden us with our time, and more importantly, they build tyranny upon us. How do they build tyranny? It's tyranny every time you feel a little stress when you think about having to go and do your taxes. Not only do you pay taxes in terms of the stress and in terms of the finances, but you pay taxes indirectly too when you pay someone to do your taxes. And you pay taxes too when corporations have to get accountants, lawyers, and all those same corporate taxes. The fair tax at this point in time.
Would you support any candidate, any Republican candidate for President of the United States?
I will support whoever comes out of the convention as the presidential nominee.
Okay, what we've done also, we wanted to include you in this, but instead of having people shouting things out, you have submitted questions ahead of time, and Nikki has taken the time to be able to sort those out. So with that in mind, questions from the audience comes from Nikki.
Thank you. Kerry, you are relatively new to politics in Nevada. Why choose to start at the congressional level without any experience at the state level?
Well, I think it's interesting. You heard the presidential candidate before. It sounds like they break up. I'm not sure what's going on here. I was a presidential candidate from September of 2013 to October of 2015. I was inspired back in 2010 to start looking at more than just tax issues in this country. I started looking at immigration, started looking at healthcare, started looking at Social Security, our budget, where we stand on our debt. And what you're going to find when you go to my website is I have researched each and every one of those. Not only have I researched it, but I have identified solutions that meet with constitutional merit and that are economically principled, all that will drive us back in the direction of our Constitution. So, am I new to politics? Actually not. 25 months of campaigning around the country with my beautiful wife, Deb, back there. we found we had a message, restore America's blessings. You know that word blessings is in both the preamble of our national constitution and our state constitution. A lot of people don't realize that. But I had a minute in front of an audience. It was well received, and with the details, and also I have already put together 12 pieces of original legislation. One of those already submitted to Congress, making its way now to the House Armed Services Committee and the House Committee on Intelligence.
Thank you, Carrie.
That I think will bring us back right to that course. Thank you.
Carrie, I apologize for interrupting. I've got to get my one in real quick. Congressman Joe Heck has done so much while in Congress and was influential in the opening of the hospitals in military. How would you continue the work Congressman Heck has done for veterans of CD3?
Put into positions on committees so that they will be able to continue addressing veterans issues and have a staff member within the office that will be engaged directly. As a veteran and my wife is a veteran, we're about as military as you can get. Out of experience, more so than stay with the needed healthcare. By the way, what inflation is the American Veteran Healthcare Reform Plan, which puts a whole new emphasis on
Now, this one's going to seem almost silly, but you know, a lot I certainly do that we're in a cultural war, even more than a political war. You believe that people can use the bathroom and locker room based on the actual sex that they are now? They have not actual sex change and just cross-dress allowed into the bathroom of their choice. No, I think that are we going to have legislation that has her in front of each one of the doors? Probably not. And all I could find in that immediate area was one that has a man. So I went in, but you know what? They had a lock on it. I locked the door.
November. The presidential field split largely over whether to allow Syrian refugees into the United States. Elected to Congress and faced with this issue, how would you respond and why?
One of the things I think we need to look at is not bringing refugees into this country from a place that they're trying to get out of because of the conditions there. I think the thing is carving out a place in the Middle East that is going to enable us to be able to put these in refugee centers until we can address the country finding a country for death, and that we have difficulty in taking care of those that are here now. We're going to have even greater difficulty in engaging those that like to welcome, but we're not sure if the process that they've gone through make sure that they're safe to come into this country. What's good, let's refocus our direction and let's look at it from the standpoint of carving out a place closer to their home in order that we may be able to resettle them there in order that at some point in the future, when things stabilize in the home country, we can more easily, more cost efficiently, or effectively and efficiently move them back into their homes where they need to be and probably want to be.
Okay. I'm going to ask if you can stand because some of the people are having trouble staying across the room. My next question for you is, do you think the federal government should be dictating education standards in the states such as Common Core, and under what circumstances should the federal government be involved in education?
Oh, that's an easy one. One of the pieces of legislation I got out there is called the American Government Reform Act. One of the departments I have identified among 209 sub-departmental entities and another 134 entities of various government types and agencies out there you've never heard of. One of the first I have identified for defunding is the Department of Education. It's kind of like last in, first out. I believe that the best place to handle education is at the state and the lower level. The closer you move it to the individuals, the better it will be. If states want education in order to be able to attract businesses in the future, then they're going to be focused on training their kids appropriately in order that they will get the best education, that they'll stay there, and it'll attract businesses to come in the future. As to Common Core, I do not support it. If the state wants to do it, that's their business. One of the things you'll find on this card that I have, and I welcome you to take a look at my card, is restore the federal character of government. What that means is we got to quit acting too much like a national government, getting into everyone's life and start pushing that back to the states where they can appropriately handle those issues, and then the states there too can push them down even lower. Education being one of those.
Okay, what I'd like to know, real quickly, because we have very little time, so I'm going to ask you to be real quick on this one. 3 primary issues if you get to Congress, real quick, in order.
Real quick, in order. Number 1 is going to be taxation because of everything that it packs in our economy today. Number 2, I think, is going to be our immigration issue. I have a good plan called the American Immigration Reform Plan that will address that, as well as many others. And it's hard to put these in a priority. And the other is pushing the new global strategy, terrorist threat around the world that is now being passed around Congress that I introduced through Congressman. And last question.
No, I want to know also, how would you handle the 11 or so million illegal aliens who are here right now?
As far as handling the illegal aliens we have here now, I have what's called the American Immigration Reform Act that I put together. It's a 2-part act. The first part reestablishes something we got rid of too long ago, and that is immigration law enforcement. We will utilize 2 strategies. The first strategy is what we call the strategy of physical restraint, and the second one is that of opportunity restraint. Physical restraint is when we put up those barriers, whether they be tangible or intangible, in order to be able to monitor who may be trying to cross our borders anywhere around the borders of the United States. Right. The other one is a plan that is an 8-year plan in order to be able to establish citizens.
We have time. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Kerry Bowers. I'm going to ask the candidates though too, if the seat that's fine, you to stand over here, because I've got to see the timekeeper. I was trying to look at the timekeeper. So we'll do that. All right.
Thank you, Kerry. Our next candidate is Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore. Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore, Assembly District 4, was re-elected to her 2nd term in 2014. Michelle has over 24 years of business and entrepreneurial experience. She volunteers at the Trauma Intervention Program set on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department use of force, and also worked with Metro SWAT. Michelle was born in Brooklyn, New York, and has lived in Nevada since 1993. She has 2 daughters, 1 grandson, and 2 granddaughters. She enjoys playing with her dogs, riding ATVs, filmmaking, and becoming proficient with her firearms. Please welcome Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore.
Thank you guys for having me. Are we sitting or standing?
You can sit. We'll try to sit. And then take a stand, and that's a place to stand. Assemblywoman.
Alan.
Under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
Oh, brother. So under what circumstances would I allow for the raising of taxes? Well, first off, if you guys agreed to that and said we have to have this tax because we have to go eliminate and destroy, let's say, ISIS, and we're budget deficient on something. Other than that, without the people, and as you guys have noticed in our last session, 4-1, we voted taxes down. We said no commerce tax. And I stood against our governor and against our peers and against our electeds and fought that tax. So I was rated a 92% on the report card from the Nevada Policy Research Institute, and also named the taxpayer's best friend of the state of Nevada. So I think it's really obvious on my proven record when I would raise taxes.
How do you take care of public services without raising taxes?
We have, in the state of Nevada, we have more money than we know what to do with right now.
And federally and nationally?
And federally, nationally, here we go. We're going to, and when I say that, you guys have to understand, when we look at our budget and we pick it apart, in the state and nationally, if you look at the money we spend on education versus incarceration, this is what folks will tell you. What does politicians do? They medicate, they educate, and they incarcerate. That's what we do. Well, why don't we take some of that incarceration money and put it towards educating? Why don't we stop medicating and put it towards educating? And understand, when you break these numbers down and when you look at the incarceration rate here in America, we incarcerate more than any country combined. China and Russia, the two biggest combined. Right now, we have over 2 million convicted and over 3 million sitting in county jails. We have over 3,000 counties in this country, and LA County jails can hold up to 10,000. Clark County jail can hold up to, and just at 1,000 in each county. That's another 3 million folks incarcerated before conviction. And I'm talking about nonviolent, victimless crimes. I'm very tough on crime. There's certain people I think don't need to be breathing, nor do we need to be paying for rehab. However, more money on incarcerating nonviolent, victimless crimes, and we spend less money on our children. That's a problem.
All right. By the way, would you support any of your fellow candidates if they get the nomination for CD3?
Of course. Of course. Whoever gets this nomination of CD3, I'll be door knocking for him.
Thank you. Okay, I have a few questions for you, Michelle. Congressman Joe Heck has done so much for veterans. While in Congress, he introduced 3 bills to help veterans and was influential in the opening of 2 new VA hospitals in Southern Nevada. He also chairs the Military Personnel Subcommittee. How would you continue the work Congressman Heck has done for the veterans of CD3?
Thank you for that question. Well, I have to tell you, veterans have my heart. The father of my children is a vet. My first daughter, Sheena, who's 26, was born in Gitmo on Guantanamo Bay, where we hold terrorists and let them go, but arrest American ranchers instead. So we, yeah, so you have to understand, vets have my heart. And I spent 18 months on that base, and I know exactly where those guys are, or not anymore, because our president seems to think that terrorists take precedence, again, over our American ranchers. So I'll tell you, with the VA is in shambles right now, and they do need someone that's not afraid to ruffle their own peers' feathers and say you're doing a crap job, and we need to fix it. So with our veterans, and another thing which goes with our veterans, look at how much money they want to spend on Syrian refuge. The federal government wants to give each state $65,000 per Syrian refuge that the government allows in the states, versus taking that money and giving it to our vets. We don't do enough for our vets, so I'm right there with you.
Great, thank you. Speaking of terrorism, after the terrorist attacks in Paris in November, the presidential field split largely along party lines over whether to allow Syrian refugees into the United States. You were elected to Congress, and faced with this issue, how would you respond and why?
So absolutely no Syrian refugees in our country, simply because, thank you, we can't vet them. That's from the director of the FBI, not vet these refugees, period. So I'm sorry, I'm sticking to my guns on this, and I don't want them here, and that's random.
Okay. The state of Nevada is made up of about 85% of federal land. And I could say the same in many ways for some of the other western states, as opposed to Rhode Island, Connecticut, some of the eastern liberal establishment states. A lot of people I've talked to, and most of the polls that I've seen, show that most people would like to see the federal government return a good portion of that land to the state for development, as well as for securing its national monuments and whatever as on a state level. A lot of people believe that. There was an incident that occurred a couple of years ago that you were supportive of, where you had the Bundy family drawing guns on BLM. Looking back, do you think that was the wisest move that they made, or should they have made an effort to go through the courts and do it legally?
So I'm going to stick to my guns on this one too. I don't care if you're a bad guy, and I don't care if you're a murderer, and I don't care if you're a law enforcement agent. If you point a gun at me, I'm going to point it right back, because my life is just as important as yours, and we will not be governed by gunpoint. And I'm going to tell you something about the Bundy family and those ranchers. He's the last rancher in Clark County. We had 52 at one time. And the BLM, which is nothing more than a bureaucrat agency of terrorism and terrorizes Americans. And a lot of my peers won't say this. They're gonna be sweet and they're gonna be gentle with you. But one thing you can always bank on is truth from my mouth. My vernacular might not be so polished, and I do that on purpose because I'm not your typical politician. I will not stand for you, me, or anyone else to be governed by gunpoint. Our military cannot go against us Americans. That is why they are militarizing all of these agencies. BLM, what are they doing with machine guns? Why is someone that, Smokey the Bear, that guy, why does that guy have a machine gun pointing at Americans? So we did not, in Bunkerville in 2014, we did not point firearms at BLM agents, contractors, or federal employees that weren't pointing guns at American people first. And let me tell you, our governor, Brian Sandoval, publicly stated how insulting it was for the agencies to put a First Amendment area in the middle of nowhere. Our sheriff at the time, Gillespie, told this particular agent, Daniel B. Love, to back down and go away. And he told him, I got this under control, I do it all the time. I've done some research on that guy that runs the BLM, Daniel B. Love. He's murdered quite a few people in his past. So I understand I'm not going to side with a government that goes against you and the people. I will never do that.
There were pictures that have been taken and published that show members who are sympathetic to the Bundys and associated with them on bridges in a prone position with semi-automatic rifles aimed and pointed at the heads of BLM people. Is that the way to get things done?
Okay, so let's go into detail about what he just said. He's talking about a gentleman named Eric Parker, who right now is sitting in the Henderson Detention Center, who I visited with a couple of days ago. This individual is from Idaho. This is what this individual, he never even met the Bundys. Never met the Bundys. This is what this individual heard on the news, Fox 5. He heard Commissioner Tom Collins say, if you think you're going to come to my state and protest, you better make funeral arrangements and bring body bags. He heard an elected official say that to the American people who are standing up for a rancher that was literally, and let's not forget this narrative, you guys. This is over, I want you to understand, this is over cows eating brush, okay? Cows eating grass. The BLM came and pointed guns at over 2,000 Americans, okay? So none of my peers or none of my elected officials will stand here and say, I'm going to stand with the people. I'm going to tell you, I worry about the next generation and not my next election. And when you need someone to stand with you and fight, I'm your girl.
Would you support any candidate for President of the United States on the Republican ticket, whoever gets the Republican nomination, no matter who it is? Would you support that person? Anyone?
Well, I'm looking, that's a loaded question, pun intended, right? So I'm looking at this convention that's going to come up, and we have two anti-establishment candidates, and that's Donald Trump, and that's Ted Cruz. And it shows, thank you, and this shows that you guys across America are sick and tired of the GOP establishment candidates. So I'm going to tell you, I will support our two top anti-establishment candidates. This convention is going to be contentious. I don't want any cheating going on, and if there is cheating, then I will talk about what will happen next.
So we've got very little time. Let me go back to that. So you would support Cruz or Trump? That's right. You would not support any of the others? I'm asking, it's a question.
Most likely not.
All right.
Thank you. See if I can get on abortion, LGBT, racial inequality, etc. Large. Do you think social issues should be dealt with in congressional races, and why?
Okay, so social issues. First of all, my mom's gay. Secondly, I'm the #1 conservative in this state, and she taught me how to shoot when I was 9 years old. So I don't know, how liberal she thinks she is, but I think she's a conservative. She's just gay. But when you talk to her, and when you talk to me, and if you sit at our dinner table, it's really, and I'm proud of my mom. I have to tell you guys, my mom, she is a firecracker. She is a Brooklyn girl, and she's my mom, she's my dad, she's my best friend, she's my business partner, and no matter what I do, and she's gay. But this is a gay woman who has told me, because she has 3 granddaughters, and I have 3.
I'm sorry, we have time, so you're gonna have to 10 seconds wrap it up.
Okay, 10 seconds, wrap it up. This is a gay woman who said if any man comes in her granddaughter's bathroom, she's gonna put a bat over their head. So understand, we definitely have to,
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Sammy Call. Sammy? There he is. Sammy Call immigrated to America in 1968 when he was just 3 years old and moved to Las Vegas in 1985. He attended the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and received a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Sammy is Assistant General Manager of a multi-million-dollar business and has experience in budgeting, human resources, and many other business processes, which would serve to provide him with a solid foundation, not only as a manager, but as a leader. Sammy and his wife, Karen, have 3 daughters. Please welcome Sammy Hall.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction.
All right, I'm gonna let Nikki ask the questions about your qualifications and everything. I do want to know about the tax issue, though. Under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
The only situation where I would allow for the raising of taxes is to fund a specific issue where we can't find the money anywhere else. And I think more often than not, we'll be able to find the money somewhere else. If you look at all the waste in government, if we just cut that out right there, that would have such a tremendous impact on our deficit and our debt. But let me just say, I support a flat tax where everybody pays the fair share. And the result of that, I think, would be a lot of corporations paying a lot more taxes than they pay now.
Okay, you got into this race kind of late, and obviously you felt that your point of view was not being represented sufficiently. Would you support any of your fellow candidates if they get the nomination for CD3?
Yes, I would support any fellow candidate. And I, like probably everyone here, I am very disheartened by the leaders of the GOP, and I've never liked the leaders of the Democratic Party anyhow. But whoever the candidate is, I'm going to support my Republican Party.
Thank you. My first question for you, Sammy, is you are relatively new to politics in Nevada. Why choose to start at the congressional level without any experience at the state level?
I think the major issues that we're facing as a country need to be fixed in Washington, D.C. If we fix the issues in Washington, D.C., it's going to help us here on the state level and in every state across the country. There are so many reasons that we could talk about if we had time as to why I made this decision, but I'll tell you briefly. I think somebody that has personal conviction to go after an issue is going to put everything they've got into it, and you're going to get the most out of them. Because of our Congress and their lack of effort and their lack of holding this president accountable for anything, that is a large part, that's a large reason as to why I'm running. I not only want to hold the president accountable for what he's done, I want to hold Congress accountable for what they haven't done on both sides of the aisle.
Thank you. After the terrorist attacks in Paris in November, the presidential field split largely along party lines over whether to allow Syrian refugees into the United States. You are elected to Congress and faced with this issue. How would you respond and why?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that as a citizen of America, as a citizen of the world, if you start something, it's your responsibility to fix it or to finish it. I don't know how many of you know this or realize this. For years, I've been saying that our government, our elected officials, have been supporting terrorism. They've been supporting violated U.S. law. They have violated international law. Because of that, the result is we've got millions of people who had to flee a war zone, and we want to push them back. Now, as an American, I think that's just un-American. I think we need to fix the problem. Has anyone flown in a plane lately? Have you looked out the window and seen all that vast open land that we have across this country? We've got room. Now, as far as the cost, we created the problem. I think we need to fix it. This is an issue that is near and dear to me. I was born in Damascus, Syria. It's the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. I've got family in Syria. My parents, before they passed away this last year, about 2.5 years ago, had to leave their Christian village, a 1,000-year-old Christian village. They had to leave because the vetted rebels were starting to make incursions into the village. My 92-year-old dad at the time had to leave his home because rebels were coming into the village. So this is near and dear to me, and I think that we need to fix it. We need to fix that on the congressional level. And I plan to do that, and I plan to hold those accountable who have violated the Constitution, who violated the Bill of Rights, and who caused war in other countries. And cost how many American lives, how many lives were, and that's why I decided to.
If you get to Congress, if you get there, and having the background you have, having grown up where you did, what kind of advice would you give to any president, Democrat or Republican, about what should be done to fight ISIS and take care of the war in the Middle East?
Well, I'll tell you, we've got the most powerful military in the world, right? And yet Russia, working with the Syrian government, was able to do in 4 months what our military was not what they couldn't do, allowed to do in Syria. My recommendation would be Syrian government. You've got a few countries over there that are fighting ISIS on the ground, and then you've got other ones that are our allies supporting them. It makes absolutely no sense. It's a very convoluted issue. And by the way, I address this topic on my website, callfornevada.com. If you go there, I've got about 9 videos that speak specifically about the
You explained the conundrum, but what would you do as advice to the president to deal with it?
Work with the Syrian government in attacking ISIS. By doing that, right now we're violating international law. So I would tell them, work with the Syrian government so we're not violating international law. I would cut off the funding to any nation that is supporting ISIS. I would start to pull our bases out of any country, like Saudi Arabia, who have been supporting ISIS. When you start that process, cut off their funding, it'll end in months.
Will you support any of the Republican candidates for president? Whoever gets the nomination at the Republican convention this July, will you support any one of them for president?
I absolutely will. My first choice would be Rand Paul, but he's not in the race anymore. But regardless of the candidate, the Republican Party has my vote.
Thank you. Congress, he introduced the 3 bills we mentioned to help veterans and was influential in opening of the 2 new VA hospitals. How would you continue the work Congressman Heck has done for veterans in CD3?
Congressman Heck has done a great job helping our veterans. I would have an outreach program to reach out to those veterans who are off the grid. We have about 120 veterans a week committing suicide. We have how many veterans that are homeless? We need to put measures in place to have an outreach program to find those individuals and to get them help.
Do you think that the federal government should be dictating education standards in the states, such as Common Core, and under what circumstances should the federal government be involved in education?
Absolutely not. The federal government should have nothing to do with education on the state level. That should be handled by the state. A state that's focused on building their economy and infrastructure should realize that one of the most important things you can do is to have an outstanding education system. That's going to attract employers. That's going to attract jobs to the state and build the economy.
With that in mind, would you be for supporting the effort to abolish the Department of Education and allow the states to keep the money and determine along with the school districts how that money should be spent?
Absolutely. I don't see any reason why the federal government should be telling us what to do and how to spend our money. It should all be handled on the state level.
Voter ID.
I can't even believe that this is a question, not from you, but on a national level. Absolutely. You should be required to present your ID to prove that you're a citizen. In order to vote, people in from outside the country, because that's what's going to happen. We're going to have people right here who are not citizens helping to dictate who's going to represent us in office. Absolutely. I support voter ID.
You couldn't believe that question. You're not going to believe the next one, which I've asked before also. And this is the cultural war, my friend. Do you believe that people should use the bathroom and locker rooms based on the actual sex that they are now? If they have not had an actual sex change and just cross-dress, should they be allowed into the bathroom of their choice? Yes or no?
You know, this is another question, just like the previous one, again, not about you, Alan, but it's on the national scene. I cannot even believe that this is a question. You go to the bathroom of your gender. Simple. I mean, but you know, here's the thing. Why don't we know who the people are that are even making this an issue? Why can't we call them and address them and tell them, what are you, stupid? Now, I want you to think about this. How many times do you hear about an issue, but you don't know who the cause or what the cause of the issue is? So therefore it makes it so much harder to hold them accountable. And that's where my experience running a multi-million-dollar operation with a very large employee base will come into play. I think our Congress and our government, the number one issue is accountability. There is no accountability whatsoever.
Thank you. The issues of abortion, LGBT, racial inequality, etc., largely splits the candidates along party lines. Republicans have called for cutting off federal funds for Planned Parenthood, etc., etc. Do you think social issues should be dealt with in congressional races and why?
Well, yeah, I do think that they should be dealt with because we dictate how the money is spent. Personally, I don't want any of my money spent on abortions. I'm a Christian American. As a Christian, I'd love to have family members that are gay. Does that mean I don't like them? Absolutely not. But I don't believe that somebody should have special rights or special privileges because of their sexual preference.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Connell. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Andy Matthews. Andy Matthews began his career as a sports writer and editor at national media outlets. Andy moved to Nevada in 2006, joined the Nevada Policy Research Institute in 2007, and became NPRI's president in 2011. Under his leadership, NPRI led the effort against the margin tax ballot initiative in 2014, promoted the Education Savings Account program, and the informational campaign to help Nevada school teachers opt out of their union. Andy is originally from New Bedford, Massachusetts, and has a degree in journalism from Boston University's College of Communication. Please welcome Andy Matthews.
A lot of candidates have very similar ideas, but you are able to see some of the subtle differences between the candidates, and I think that'll continue as well. So with that in mind, Andy, under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
First of all, I do want to thank you all for being here today. I'll support raising taxes if our taxes ever get too low. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. We have a government that at all levels, I believe, is taxing too much. We need to work to bring down taxes. You don't just have to take my word for it when I say I'm going to fight to do that. You can look at my record at the Nevada Policy Research Institute, where we stood consistently against attempts to increase our tax burden. We led the intellectual effort against the margin tax ballot initiative in 2014. And unlike a lot of politicians who were who were against tax hikes during campaign season when it was politically convenient, and then were saying a different tune when they got into office, we remained consistent in our opposition to tax hikes. I've also introduced down taxes federally. You can go to my website, which is matthewsfornevada.com, and there you can read my detailed plan to bring down tax rates not only on individuals, but on businesses, the job creators in this country, and also to kill the death tax permanently.
Would you support any of your fellow candidates if they get the nomination for CD3?
I will.
Sounds like a simple question, but at the national level, we've had some issues, so I think it's important to identify that here.
Andy, you're relatively new to politics in Nevada. Why choose to start at the congressional level without any experience at the state level?
Yeah, during my time at NPRI, and of course the Institute was focused and remains focused on state issues, which is very, very important. One of the most painful lessons I learned during my time at the Institute was that the source of so many of our problems really is Washington, D.C. We have a federal government today that taxes too much, spends too much, regulates too much, and spends too much time trying to tell us how to run our lives. I'm going to tell you a quick story to illustrate what I mean. A few years ago, this is actually during the 2014 election season, I called a friend of mine, a longtime Southern Nevada business owner, an NPRI supporter, to see if he wanted to get a cup of coffee. And he said, Andy, I would love to, but I'm not in Nevada. And I said, well, that's fine. Just give me a call when you get back. And he said, you don't understand. I don't live in Nevada anymore. This guy had picked up and moved to Wyoming after decades running a business in Nevada, because he got tired of always having a target on his back as a business owner. But the last thing he said to me was this. He said, Andy, even though I'm in a relatively low tax state now, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be safe here. And I knew exactly what he meant. What he understands is that the bigger and more intrusive our federal government becomes, the harder it's going to be to find any place in these United States to be free, to get a job, to run a business, to pursue your idea of happiness without the federal government being on you every step of the way. We need to fight back against this assault on our liberties.
Thank you. As you know, Congressman Joe Heck has done so very much for our veterans. If you are elected to Congress, how will you continue the work Congressman Heck has done for the veterans in CD3?
This VA scandal was unconscionable and heartbreaking. The fact that the federal take care of those who have taken care of us, I mean it really breaks the heart, and it is a reason for anger and for frustration. I think what we need to do is two things. We need more accountability for those at the VA who are letting our veterans down, and that's not going to happen without new leadership in the White House. The other thing I think we need to do is start expanding options to our veterans in terms of where they get their care, and I know that there are some efforts underway to move that forward. Dr. Heck has been applauded for that. I look forward to supporting him in that effort. If you can't get the quality care you need and deserve within the current system, we need to empower you to seek care elsewhere, and I'll fight to do that in Washington.
Will you commit to supporting any candidate who gets the Republican presidential nomination in July in the convention?
I will, because there is nothing more important than making sure that Hillary Clinton does not become our next president.
I ask if Hillary Clinton will be indicted? No, we can do that now. We'll do that. Going back to a question I've asked others. Do you believe that people should be using the bathroom and locker rooms based on the actual sex that they are now?
Yes, I do. I think that's my opinion. I think the next thing we need to look.
That brought something down. All right.
Oh, it wasn't something I said. I think the next step is to make sure that we are vigilant against any attempt by the federal government to start imposing that progressive agenda on the states. And I think that's going to be the next front in this effort, is when Washington, D.C. starts taking away the rights of states to implement common sense approaches to that question. But the answer to your question is yes. That's my view. It's what I would do.
And real quickly, what about the voter ID?
I support it. Although I will say that I think this is something that should be determined at the state level. And again, we need to make sure the federal government respects the right of states.
Quick follow-up, because as a congressman, you would be operating on a federal level, and the elections are not only state, but they're federal elections also. Would you support a federal law that would require voter ID as well, as when it comes to federal elections?
In case of federal elections, that would be appropriate. That's an important distinction. Thank you.
After the terrorist attacks in Paris in November, the presidential field split largely over whether to allow Syrian refugees into the United States. If elected to Congress and faced with this issue, how would you respond and why?
Well, I would not permit the Syrian refugees to come here. The only circumstances under which we should is if we get to a level where we are confident that the federal government can properly vet them and make who come in their midst are a threat to this country. Raise your hand if you think the federal government, particularly under this administration, is up to that task and can be trusted to do that effectively. So look, I'm a compassionate guy. I really am, and I know that there are some deep emotional issues at play here. But the responsibility of our federal government is to our American citizens.
Do you think the federal government should be dictating education standards in the state, such as Common Core, and under what circumstances should the federal government be involved in education?
The federal government should not be education. We need to get rid of Common. Who's best positioned to make decisions that will determine local education policy. Locals to make those decisions a lot more than I trust nameless, faceless, unaccountable bureaucrats sitting behind us in Washington, D.C. Education policy has historically in this country had been a local issue, and we need to return to those days.
Based on that, I can assume that you would be for dumping the Department of Education.
Yeah, and it's a great place to start. There are a few other cabinet level departments I would look at eliminating as well.
You say you're a compassionate person. How would you advise a president, regardless of who the president is, how to deal with the 11, 12 million illegal aliens who are here right now?
There's a few principles, and I don't want to run over my time allotment. There are a few things we need to make. A few things we need to make clear we're going to do in terms of the illegal immigration process. First of all, we have to secure the border, and that's through a combination of increased fencing and building a wall where appropriate, more border security personnel, and increased surveillance. We need to reject amnesty for those who have come here legally. We need to, I think Congress should pass a law that says if you came to this country in violation of our immigration laws, and under no circumstances are you ever allowed to apply for U.S. citizenship. We need to strengthen our E-Verify laws. We need to crack down on sanctuary cities and cut off federal funding to those cities who undermine our federal immigration laws. And one other thing we need to do is we need to roll back the massive and growing welfare state, which attracts a lot of people who want to come here and abuse the system. Not everyone who comes to this country legally or illegally does so for the purpose of getting a handout. But when the federal government sends a signal that says if you make it here illegally, then we're going to put you on the dole, you're providing a powerful incentive for a lot of people to come here the wrong way. So those were the first few steps we needed that we need to take in order to seriously address this problem.
Okay. Income disparity has been a hot topic in this election cycle, especially among Democrats. What issue, and how would you address income disparity?
Well, what we want to do is make sure that we are providing a framework, a system where all people can get ahead and all people can enjoy prosperity. And what we Republicans need to be unapologetic about saying is that free market capitalism has been the greatest vehicle for that in all of human history. To the extent that we have people who are falling behind, those who are not enjoying the prosperity, the opportunities that many others have, in most cases, if you look at what's going on, it's federal government intervention that is preventing those people from doing it. We create a dependency culture. We put up roadblocks to job creation. And the best way to let people get a job, to let people do better economically and financially, is to remove those barriers to prosperity, empower people to pursue their dreams. Those are the policies I'm going to fight for in Washington.
Time is up. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Our next candidate is Senator Michael Roberson. Senator Michael Roberson from Senate District 20, currently state Senate Majority Leader in the Nevada State Senate, was elected in 2010 and re-elected in 2014. Under his leadership, Senate Republicans overhauled Nevada's public education system. They also passed legislation requiring out-of-state corporations doing business in Nevada to pay their fair share to the state and much more. Roberson is a business attorney with the law firm of Colasar & Latham. He is married to Las Vegas native Liberty Lovett Roberson, and they live here in Henderson. Please welcome Senator Michael Roberson.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you all for having me here.
All right, under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
Well, the federal government doesn't need more revenue. But this last session, we did raise taxes. Oh, yes, I'll stand up. We have one of the smallest state governments in this country. We have the smallest number of at the state level in this country. We have the 5th best business tax climate in the country. We have the 7th lowest property taxes in the country. And we are currently today at 1992 state government spending levels on inflation adjusted per capita basis. Every economic development expert in this state came to us last session. They said, hey, it's great. You're a low tax state. In fact, big businesses from out of state pay nothing. But until you improve one of the worst education systems in this country, you're not going to get businesses to move here. In fact, fully 35% of all businesses who looked at coming to Nevada ultimately said, we will not come to Nevada until you improve your skilled workforce and improve your education system. So under those circumstances, we raise taxes on the top 1% of businesses. The average net effective rate on those businesses for income over $4 million a year, less than 0.2%. And if you're an in-state company with payroll, you get a 50% credit against your payroll tax, less than 0.1%. So I want people to understand what we're talking about. 1% of businesses in this state, many of whom are out-of-state businesses who are paying nothing, although they paid in every other state, they will pay for every $1 million in revenue above $4 million, they'll pay less. Under those circumstances, yes, I think it was the right thing to do. I supported our governor. I think he exhibited great leadership. Obviously, it's not politically popular with everyone, but we paired that increased revenue for education with historic education reforms. The Wall Street Journal said it was the most historic package of education reforms of any state in the history of this country. So I think under those circumstances, it was appropriate to do what we did, but I do not believe the federal government needs any more money.
Would you,
one second.
I was just here. Anticipation for CD3.
After the
No way to vet these refugees, Syrian or Iranian or Iraqi refugees into this country until and unless we can be confident that these individuals have been vetted and they don't have terrorist intentions.
As we talked about earlier, so much work that Congressman Joe Hack has done for veterans here. How would you continue the work Congressman Hack has done for the veterans in CD3?
Well, I appreciate that. General Hack has done a great since he's been in Congress, and so has Senator Heller. Senator Heller has worked very hard to investigate the problems, frankly, the travesties with the VA. And I would want to continue that work. This last session, we passed 10 different pieces of legislation supporting veterans, including funding a new veterans home, improving the veterans cemetery, giving tax benefits to veterans and veteran-owned companies, getting better preferences to veteran-owned companies. In fact, George Price is here today. I just spent the weekend with him in Washington as a volunteer guardian for honor flag, 28 World War II veterans who for the first time were able to go to Washington and see the monuments. And I was very proud to do that. I will be very pro-veteran, and I will be a friend of the veterans in Washington.
Would you support any of the Republican candidates for president, whoever gets the nomination in July, whoever does?
I do intend to support the Republican nominee. I hope we nominate someone who can actually win in November. That's very important.
So you would support any of the nominees?
I do intend to support the Republican nominee.
Talk to me about voter ID. You support voter ID?
I do. In 2011, I actually sponsored a voter ID bill. And last session, the Assembly worked on a few versions of a voter ID bill. I supported the version that would have created a poll vote. So if you come into a voting center and you don't have identification, they take your picture, and they have your picture on file. You would be a provisional voter until you can show that, yes, that is in fact you. But I think that would be the best way to cut the concerns that some have that you are going to disenfranchise senior or poor voters who may not have an identification. Unfortunately, the votes weren't there to get out of the Assembly.
It was a very simple matter because actually the DMV said that if you are a poor person, or if you cannot afford an ID, and because we know that there are laws against poll taxes, that in fact we will give you an ID. So no one would be disenfranchised based upon what the intent was by the DMV, and yet you as the head of the Senate didn't help push that through, the voter ID at all.
Well, Alan, I know you weren't there. I was. The bill never got over to the Senate. There weren't the votes in the Assembly to get it out of the Assembly. But again, I've sponsored legislation for voter ID.
Let me ask you something else. I know you think this is personal. It is. If you become elected the congressman, would you agree to be on local media, including my show, on a regular basis? Because as the head with John Hamburg and others, you folks refuse to come on at any point and talk about anything and any piece of legislation. I'm just wondering if you would commit to do what Joe Heck has done, which is be on my show on a regular basis.
Well, Alan, since you brought that up, the reason I had not come on your show is because I feel like you have been very unprofessional about a couple of the female Senate candidates that I recruited in the past, Mary St. Martin and Becky Harris. I think you said very, frankly, sexist things about them on the radio when they were running, and I'm not gonna endorse that. So that's why I've not been on your show. Whether I'll be on your show in the future, I don't know. Maybe we can repair that relationship.
I would be surprised.
Thank you. Moving on to another question. How do you view the continued threat of terrorism in the United States, and how would you deal with this threat?
Well, we have a real problem with terrorism. We have a president who believes in half measures and doesn't have a strategy to deal with terrorism, to make sure that our country is secure. We need a strategy and a plan. We need a president who's going to listen to his generals, and we need to stamp out ISIS and other forces of terrorism around the country. It is right now as important of an issue as any in this election.
And how would we go about doing that?
Well, as I said, it starts at the top. You need a leader who actually believes in fighting and defeating terrorism. Unfortunately, we have a chief executive who believes in half measures.
Right. Do you think the federal government should be dictating education standards in the states such as Common Core? And under what circumstances should the federal government be involved in education?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, Common Core is not a federal standard, it's a state standard. And this state has decided to implement Common Core. The legislature did not, contrary to what one of my opponents has said. The State Department of Education did that. I believe in high standards, but I have a lot of concerns about the implementation. I've heard from many teachers and parents about the concerns with learning these new standards. I certainly do not believe the federal government should be imposing standards on any state. I'm not quite sure what the Department of Education does. I do know that we are a donor state in that for every dollar we give to Washington, we get 70 cents back. So anytime you can take money that's in a federal agency and give it back to the state in block grants, Nevada is going to benefit from that. Now, I will say this, I believe in local control of education. I believe in that so much that I've led the effort since the session ended to decentralize the 5th largest school bureaucracy in the country. And we just hired the world's expert on empowerment schools. Every single school in this county is going to be a full empowerment school. What that means is the Clark County School District is going to be dramatically pared down. There's going to be a meaningful reduction in workforce at the central administration level. Every single school is going to determine its own budgeting, its own hiring, its own curriculum. I think it is going to be a sea change, and with all the education reforms we passed last session, I think in the long term, even more than school choice, which I'm a big supporter of, and I'm so happy we passed school choice. Hopefully the courts will uphold the legislation we passed. But I think more than anything, you will find that this decentralization of the 5th largest school district in the country will be the most profound education reform long-term that this state has ever seen.
All right, Leanne, I just want to be clear about two things. One is I never disparaged Ms. St. Martin ever once. And as a matter of fact, I was supportive of her and appeared at fundraisers for her. So you're mistaken in that one, number one. Number two, yes, what I did say about Becky Harris was true. Becky Harris promised to be on the show several times, and in fact, she lied, and I called her a liar, and I'm standing by that. Ladies and gentlemen, State Senator Michael Roberson.
Thank you, Senator. Our next candidate is Danny Tarkanian. Danny Tarkanian is originally from California and moved to Nevada in 1973. After graduating from law school at the University of San Diego, he returned to Las Vegas and practiced law for 7 years. He currently owns and operates the largest private sports facility in Las Vegas. In 2005, Danny developed the Tarkanian Professional Center, and in 2015, Danny and his partner, Samira Knight, formed the Tarkanian and Knight Law Group. Danny and his wife, Amy, have 4 children, Lois, Ava, Ashley, and Jerry. Please welcome Danny Tarkanian.
I would like to first introduce my wife, Amy, who's here with me today.
All right. The better looking half of it, yes. Okay, under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
See, there is a circumstance where taxes should be raised, and that's where we have all this tax breaks that we give to special interest groups with these loopholes and other legislation. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year in tax revenue because of these special tax breaks. Over $100 billion a year just what they call the inversions. It takes too long to get into them, but I want to eliminate all those things. But I want to address one thing that Senator Roberson said, and what the media picks up on. They all want to run with the fact they say that $1.5 billion tax increase went to education. That just isn't true. Only $600 million did. That's only 40% of the biggest tax increase in state's history went to education. We have a flyer outside, and some of it, you got it. If you look on the flyer, there'll be the bills that'll show you that's true. Okay, I'll hold it closer.
Yeah, hold it closer. Will you support any of your fellow candidates if they get the nomination, not you, if they get the nomination for CD3?
Some of you may remember I ran for Senate in 2010. There was about 12 of us in the race, and I lost in the primary. We all pledged to support our nominee one. This thing, after I lost that tough primary, I think my answer speaks more than the words I can say.
And so I just remember this. Why choose to run for a congressional position without any experience at the state level?
Look, I wasn't even planning on running for office at this time, and I watched what happened to the state legislature here, and I saw the golden opportunity we had. For the first time in 89 years, we had a Republican-controlled Assembly, Senate, and governor's office, and instead of passing bills that were dear to Republicans' heart, like the photo ID and many others, all we did was pass the largest tax increases in the state's history. I was upset by that. I still wasn't planning on running for office until I got a call from Congressman Heck in May, and he told me he was going to run for the Senate. He inquired of my interest to run for his seat in Congress, and after that conversation, I decided to run.
Thank you. And speaking of Congressman Heck, how would you continue the work Congressman Joe Heck has done for the veterans in CD3?
Just work with the veterans, and I'm proud to announce that over this past 2 weeks, I got the endorsement from the 2 veteran groups that gave out the endorsements this past 2 weeks, the Nevada Veterans Association and Veteran Politics. I discussed at length with them what I would hope to do if I'm elected in office to reach out with the veteran organizations. One, we need to have an outreach. Someone from my staff will be working directly with the veterans on an outreach, not only with the VA issues, but also with trying to get placement with jobs and businesses here locally, with suicide prevention and other things that are important to the veterans. We need to make the veterans a priority, and that's why I got the endorsement from the 2 veterans group.
We support any of the Republican candidates. We're against the Republican nomination in July in the convention. We support them for president.
Of course, I would have possibly Bernie Sanders. Any Republican that says they won't is such a disappointment. We are at a crucial point because there's going to be at least one, if not three, Supreme Court justices that the next president's going to appoint.
Tell me about the three primary issues if you get to Congress.
Well, there's really, the one main issue, as everybody has talked about, is the national security, but let's just go through past that, because there's three domestic issues under control. We have $19 trillion in debt. The second issue is we got to revise our tax system. As I mentioned, we have a tax system that's littered with special tax breaks to the powerful, influential, and the privileged. We need to get a fair tax system. And the third thing is we need to get back to reasonable regulations, taking into consideration not only the protections it has for our workers and but also the impact it has on our businesses. Obama's created more regulations and more severe registrations on businesses than any president in history, and that's why we've had the worst economic recovery in our country's history besides the Great Depression.
Real quick, I just want to know how you also would address the issue of the 11 or 12 million illegal aliens who are here right now.
It is a long answer, but the only way you could address the issues of the illegal immigrants is if you resolve all of the issues that are out there. The wall is a good start, but it's only part of it. 40% of the people that come in our country illegally and stay, or I should say, are in the country illegally, are people who came in legally and overstayed their visas. We should be able to track those people with our technology. We need to eliminate the sanctuary cities and take away the federal funding. Andy just said, if we're not going to protect jobs, why don't you think people are going to come to the country illegally? You got to eliminate all these things, and then you can start talking about how to handle the 11 million that are here.
After the terrorist attacks in Paris in November, the presidential field split largely along party lines over whether to allow Syrian refugees into the United States. If elected to Congress and faced with this issue, how would you respond and why?
I probably the only candidate here that has an experience of this type. My grandmother came to America after the Armenian genocide in 1915 without the welcoming hands of America, which she would have never been here, and I wouldn't be here today. But if you're elected to represent your country as an elected official, the primary purpose of your job is to protect your country, and if we can't vet 100% these immigrants coming in, we can't allow them in, even though it would break my heart because of the experience I've had.
Thank you. The issues of abortion, LGBT, racial inequality, etc., largely splits the candidates along party lines. Do you think social issues should be dealt with in congressional races, and why?
I don't think the social issues should be have any impact on what's going on now. Look at what we're facing. We have a country that's ready to fall off the cliff if we're not already nosediving out there. We talked about many of the issues. The three I talked about, national security, and so many others. Let's get to what is really hurting our country, the seriousness of it. We have laws dealing with abortion. I am certainly pro-life, I've always been. But we have laws. We've got to concentrate on what's killing our country right now, and that's what my focus would be.
You know, and I get that. As a follow to that, you know, I'm going to use the bathroom question with you too, and the locker room question, because you know, what we're looking at right now is that we bring the issues back to our home, our family, to our children, our daughters, and that's why I get calls, a lot of calls from people who are very concerned about the idea that we have gone through this kind of a change. People said they'll accept gay marriage or whatever. When it comes to, you know, guys walking into a girl's locker room or bathroom, they're upset about it.
Look, it's not the federal issue that's happened. It's already happened here in the state of Nevada. Our legislature and our leaders, they passed the anti-bullying statute, which included a bill requiring young students, kids going to public school education, to share bathrooms based upon their identity of what they feel they are that day. Just what we're talking about right now. We have that law here. We have that law. To me, when this was first being proposed, I thought they were joking. I said, no way, no one's going to allow that. We have gone so far to protect certain groups as not to offend them that we lose focus of what you're doing in the possible harm of the vast majority of people when you pass these type of bills. That bathroom bill is wrong, flat out wrong.
A lot of people agree. Voter ID, obviously.
Had a Republican-controlled Assembly, Senate, and governor's office And if we didn't pass a voter ID bill, shame on everybody who's in there. For anybody to get up here and say, well, we didn't have the votes in the assembly, well, why did they take a vote? So all of you voters would know who was for it and who wasn't, including the Senate. I ran for Secretary of State 2006. This was one of my main issues. It's something that all the other states around the country that are controlled by Republican legislature, governor's office, they passed it. Why did we fail to pass it this election? What a failure.
Do you think the federal government should be dictating education standards in the states such as Common Core? And under what circumstances should the federal government be involved in education?
Yeah, no, I don't believe in Common Core, and contrary to what my opponent who said earlier, look at the State Department of Education made a recommendation to implement Common Core, but it couldn't take effect unless this legislature voted on it and passed it. It's a shame that our legislature would vote on and passed it. There's nothing wrong with my ad that says Michael Robertson did that. He's being disingenuous when he says otherwise.
We're just honoring Ronald Reagan.
I'm responding to his statement when he spoke. And getting back to what the federal government should be doing, we can't just say we're going to close down the Department of Education and put the money back in the federal government. Every state relies upon the federal government money to fund their education system. It would cripple our state's budget if we did. We need to give the states block grants for the education money that is now being doled out by the federal government. So we do need that.
Thank you. Income disparity has long been a hot topic, certainly in this election cycle, especially among Democrats. Is this a legitimate issue, and how would you address it?
So the income disparity happens mostly where Democrats and the liberals are controlling the legislature and the governor's office and everything. They think you can solve income disparity by laws and regulations. We are the greatest economic force in the history of mankind because of a free market principle. When you restrict those free market principles, you're going to create income inequality. Unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of this country, and you'll see the income inequality get back to normal.
Thank you. I think we've just run out of time. Thank you so much, Danny. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our final candidate today is Dr. Annette Tahero. Annette Tahero is a longtime Nevada resident and graduate of Bishop Gorman High School. She attended the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and then the University of Nevada School of Medicine to become a physician. Annette attended specialty training and anesthesiology at the University of Washington, Seattle. She later returned to Las Vegas to open a private practice and become involved within the community. Since 1996, Annette has been actively involved in numerous organizations throughout the Valley. Annette is married and has 3 children. Please welcome Dr. Annette Tahero.
Wow. I'm going to sit down for just a minute because I want to be fair and I want to be nice. When I was interviewing with John Ralston, I gave him a gift. I want to give you the same gift because although we've had a little bit of a rough time, I want to make sure that I can have your support. So please be my fan. Please be my fan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. One of my fans.
It's really important for us premenopausal and postmenopausal women to have a fan.
All right. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Alan. But first, I wanted to thank all of my fellow Southern Hills Republican women for making this forum possible. Thank you, ladies, for working so hard to do this. I also want to thank the media for being here because that creates the transparency that we need. I'd like to say hello to Riley, who I saw earlier, for being here, Megan, and Ben Botkin, who must be sitting in here somewhere. So thank you for being here.
Okay, and by the way, we had the people listed in alphabetical order, so there was no, issue about anything else, just alphabetical.
Well, you saved the best for last, right, Alan?
I like your fan, by the way. Thank you. Under what circumstances would you allow for the raising of taxes?
What a difficult question to answer. Because I believe that our federal government has our money in it to be able to fund the United States. We, the people, decide that there's some kind of obscure tax that we want to add on something. You betcha I'm going to vote against raising tax money. We just need to stop the waste, the fraud, and the pay all of our crimes.
any other nomination for CD3?
Dear, is a loaded question.
Yes.
I'll explain to you why. There is a candidate in this race that already has a 450-page note about all the promises that he made and he didn't keep. He's not a Republican candidate. So therefore, I could not support that candidate. There is someone in this race that the Daily Cause has already mentioned that the Democrats are just waiting to have run against, because if he does make it to the ballot, they know that he will lose, just like he lost in 2012 and 2010 and 2006 and 2004. We all know. I didn't mention any names. Everybody in this room knows who I'm talking about.
So the answer is you will not pledge to support any of the other nominees if they get the nomination.
No, the answer is I cannot support someone who says that we shoot people and point guns at our peace officers. These are important things to us, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not just whether they wear the Republican label. It has to do with what it is they're going to do in Congress. And we, ladies and gentlemen, are Republicans second, Americans first, and we do have to support a nominee in this position that will do the right thing for America.
Okay, let me just be very, very clear for the media and everyone else. When I asked you if the other nomination for CD3, you said no. You would not necessarily support some of the others. I just want to be clear.
I
Everybody
would support a real Republican that can win in this race. Thank you.
Choose to run for a congressional position without any experience at the state level.
Actually, Nikki, that is an inaccurate
Elected office, please.
Elected office. There you go. That makes a big difference, ladies and gentlemen, because I do have experience. I actually have been interfacing with the state legislature for a very long time. My first visit to Carson City was back in 1988 when I was a medical student. But beyond that, when I came back into this community to serve as a physician, over 15 years, I have read, helped amend, advised, and on legislation that had to do with health care policy. Some of the people that are in everything in my power as a private citizen to make sure that we have the best piece of legislation without being need them vote in majorities that don't do what it is. And the fact that we don't means that no one around the world will respect any of our first responder personnel. It is shameful what we do to our veterans. I am the only candidate that actually, and as a resident, has actually worked in a Veterans Administration hospital. Therefore, I understand the bureau. I understand what our veterans are put through. 20 to 30 of them come of opportunity. We must that way. And in order to do that, I need each and every one of you to vote for me. A tough election coming in the general. And if we, then we shall lose. So, Annette, thank you.
I'm Michael Roberson. Thank you all for being here. This is democracy, and this is great. And I appreciate all my opponents who are here today. I will humbly say that I'm the most accomplished conservative in this race, and it's not even close. You all know me. I've served this area of town for the last 6 years, and from day one, I've been a leader. I've sponsored and passed the most historic collective bargaining reform in the history of this state. I sponsored and passed the most historic entitlement reform in the history of this state. I sponsored and passed the most significant Second Amendment legislation last session at the legislature. I sponsored and passed 6 different tort reform bills last session. I'm a leader. I've led from day one. We need a leader in Washington. I will be that leader for you, and I will get things done for you in Washington. Please go to my website, votemichaelroberson.com. I just want to say I'm grateful to have the support of Brian Sanders, Senator Dean Heller, and as of today, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business in this country. Thank you.
Let's have a hand for all of these candidates, all of them together. Ladies and gentlemen, the candidates for CD3. You are the candidate for CD3.
I'd like to also give a very special thank you to our moderator, Alan Stock. Thank you so very much.
And sure, let me just say that what you don't know is that behind the scenes, Nikki worked tirelessly for 2 months since we decided to do this 2 months ago to put this together. Put your hands together for Nikki, please. And for the Southern Hills Republican Women's Club, you guys are great. You are the basis of who gets out and gets things done and gets votes out there. I have more to mention. Yesterday, thank you for hosting this and rest of the time.
You stole my thunder. Nikki, thank you so much. We're not done yet though, because we have sold tickets for the basket. We've sold tickets for the 50-50 opportunity drawing. Shirley, are you guys ready? Okay, they're going to come up and we'll go through that. I want to thank everybody. This was a group effort, but most of the work was done by Nikki. She worked tirelessly on this. She was in touch with Alan. She was in touch with the candidates, and it was a very nice town hall. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
I love seeing all the new faces. I'm killing time. Yeah. Oh, Nikki just suggested while they're coming up, we have extra time, so there are candidates who are here. Why don't we, let me see. We can give you each 30 seconds to introduce yourself and say what you're running for. Carrie Buck. Quickly, we'll move along.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carrie Buck. I'm running for State Senate District 5. I have been an educator the past 20 years here, and I turned around CT Sewell Elementary School from one of the lowest performing schools in the district to a high performing, high achieving school, national Title I school with at-risk students. And now I'm in charter, and I'm going to run for state senate because I want to make a difference for the next generation. So thank you. I appreciate you. Any of you that live in Senate District 5, please vote for Carrie Buck.
Thank you, Carrie. Swadeep Nagam, did I mispronounce that? All right, he's running for 83. So, have a minute.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here. I'm Swadeep Nagam and running for Assembly District 23, and this is the heart of Assembly District 23. I have an exceptional background. I've traveled the world, all over 6 continents except Antarctica. My background is in finance, accounting, and economics. And I've worked in public sector, private sector, as well as non-profit. So I know how to balance the budget. That's my job right now. I'm also a CFO of my family investments. currently my day job is in the water district, and my major responsibilities are waterways as well as the budget. We have $500 million of budget, and I know how to handle your money if elected in Carson City. Again, Swadhi Nigam for Assembly District 23. Thank you.
Chief Pickard is here.
Thank you. This has been great. My name is Keith Pickard. I'm a transplant to Nevada, but I've lived in Nevada longer than anywhere I've lived in my life, and I call it home. I had a varied background. I was an educator for a couple of years in a local high school. Then I followed my dream of building. I'm a contractor. I worked for some of the largest contractors in the country. My favorite job, frankly, was building the rec centers for Del Webb. You're sitting in one of them, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time working with the residents and designing and building the Independence Center. It's quite an ordeal. Then we went off the cliff in 2007 with everyone else. So I went to law school. So now I'm an attorney until the need one. But my goal is to go up and continue to try to get our education system out of the crisis. That's the foundation of economic developing business, the tax base, and giving people the good paying jobs that they need. We don't have enough of that now. The other thing I want to do is continue to make the court system fairer. Many of you have probably heard I was responsible for drafting and lobbying for AB 263, which was a bill that leveled the playing field for litigants in the family courts. My goal is to make the system fair. So if you live in District 22, I would very much appreciate your vote. Keith Pickard for Assembly 22. Thank you.
From Joe Heck's office, Ken Minster.
Hi, everybody. We have a contentious primary season, right? From the presidential, we've got all different sides. On the Congressional District 3, we have a very contentious primary. But can we all agree on one thing? That 30 years of Harry Reid is like 30 years too many. Can we agree on that? I know that you know Joe. I know you know him. I know you love him. You love what he's done in Congress. But guys, I have an entire state that doesn't know Joe, that hasn't had him for a congressman for the past 6 years. And I need your help. I'm going to need your help contacting voters all across the state, adopting your neighborhoods down south. I'm moving up to Reno for the next couple of months to go and help up north and help them understand what a great congressman we have and what a great senator he'll be. Come to our office. We need your help. I'll see you in the office, okay? Thank you, guys.
Before I turn this over to Shirley, Eddie, and Paula, I just want to say two things. One, whoever the presidential candidate is, vote for him. You're voting for Hillary or Bernie. Hillary probably. Two, whoever the Republican candidate is for CD3, vote for him or her. We do not want another Democrat there. We may be losing the Senate. We do not want to lose the House. Having said that, Shirley?
Thank you, Lynn. Still doesn't make any
All right, blue ticket. That is for the basket. And that will be number 508-2119. 508. I think we have a winner. Okay.
Hey, could you raise your hand so Paula could see you, please? Thank you.
All right, white tickets. We have 10 $20 bills to give out today. Betty and Paula will be helping passing those. If you do have a winning ticket, please raise your hand so they'll be able to find you. We have a lot of people today. Thank you very much. All right, first ticket, 35, and this is a white one, 354 6525. 354-6525. All right, here we go. Okay, the next one is 354-5950. 354-5950. Do we have a winner? 59. No? Okay. Fine. Okay, we do have. Please raise your hand. Thank you. The next one is 354-5952. 5952.
Oh, here's the other page.
No?
This is against the largest.
No?
They're still fine.
Okay. 5952. All right, next one. 354-6150. 6150. Okay, the next one is 354-6087. 6087. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next one is 354-6044. 6044. Okay, the next one. Betty, are you ready for another one? 354-6581. 6581. Okay. Okay, the next one is 354-6037. 6037. All right. Okay, the next one is 354-6471. 6471. Last four numbers, 6471. All right. Okay, then we have 354-5932. 5932. Hey, George. All right. The last one is 354-6186. 6186. Oh my goodness. 3 of them. Whoa. Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to remind you, this is the court applicant course. What we do is we have incredible baskets that Paula builds. They're so heavy, she can't walk around with them. She has to put them on the table. So when you win a basket, you really win a good basket. I know I won one time in all the years I've been here. And it's like the commercial of the guy, all the people getting out the Volkswagen, there's no end to it. Well, I made a list of everything in the basket. It was a full page long. So there's a lot in there. It's well worth the money. The other drawing we do is an opportunity drawing. Half the money stays with the club as a fundraiser. And then we give out $20 bills. So this is done in a lot of clubs. I mention this because there's a lot of new faces here. So I just wanted to explain what just happened. A little late. Nothing like putting the cart after the horse. Next month we have a candidate forum. You can check your newsletter and you'll find out about that, who the candidates are. We also will be honoring the Asia Pacific American Heritage Month. This is originally it was a week-long observation. It's now a long observation. I have somebody here playing it's G-U-Z-H-E-N-G. I don't know how to pronounce that. Whatever I say, it's going to be wrong. But it is an Asian instrument. It's very pretty. It's going to be different. If you would like to, we're going to have a fashion show. If you have anything that's Japanese, Chinese, even Hawaiian or Islandish, wear it and you might win some prizes. So that should be fun. And that'll be next Next for our candidate forum. The other thing I want to say, I was so pleased you all came. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, please see me afterwards. I'll be glad to answer anything I can. And travel safe going home. Thank you. This meeting is over.
And my brain is I think it was very quiet. He was like 8 months. So my daughter was like right there on the corner. So I worked a lot of events and stuff like that. I actually worked for a party theater, so we would, I was the theater. But you know, so I don't grab it. I kind of like yeah, I know. Yeah, I did.
Thank you very much. I'll be a good one.
Canada's only 50
Oh, I know. How to fit a phone.
Well, I know.
So she was like, really sat down with the original thing, and that's what I'm trying to do is ask you to support it. So never mind.
Yeah, my email's just I want to get a picture. Next week. And I never think about it. I can't even put the bed down and I See you later. I do.
Yes. Thunder Bay? Oh, yes,